If the sun were to burst, the consequences would be catastrophic for the entire solar system, especially Earth. However, let us examine these possibilities, depending on what is meant by burst, since that term might be interpreted in varied contexts. 1. If the sun suddenly exploded in a supernova style. The notion of the sun exploding in what is known as a supernova is inherently impossible, as the sun lacks the requisite mass to undergo such a cataclysmic event. However, hypothetically, if such an explosion could occur, the results would indeed be devastating. A supernova leads to an immense energy release, equating to the energy the sun typically emits over billions of years. The inner planets, namely Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars, would face instant incineration or pulverization. The ensuing shock wave, accompanied by radiation and stellar material, would cascade through the solar system, potentially stripping planetary atmospheres and obliterating any form of life. The sun serves as the gravitational anchor for the solar system. Thus, its disappearance would result in planetary bodies diverging into space along linear trajectories. However, it must be reiterated that the sun lacks the necessary mass to culminate in a supernova. 2. If the sun experienced a giant solar flare or coronal mass ejection, CME. A solar flare, or CME, epitomizes a surge of solar radiation and magnetic energy. On Earth, this could lead to the failure of power grids, damaging satellites, disruption in communications, radiation hazards for astronauts, and widespread auroras observable at lower latitudes. However, this does not result in any direct physical damage to Earth, only atmospheric and technological disruptions. The Carrington event of 1859 exemplifies such a massive solar storm impacting Earth. 3. If the sun reached the end of its life.